This video is about cognitive science. Specifically, I'm going to share 7 ideas that can improve your teaching. Those are cognitive science based ideas that you can take into your classroom to improve your day to day teaching. Number one is about understanding how people learn. If you understand how people learn, you have an edge in the teaching business. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you know what's happening in the brain when you teach, you will know how to make effective the teaching and learning decision. What does that really mean when I say that you need to know how people learn? You need to understand the basics about sensory memory, working memory, and long-term memory. For example, you need to know how to help students access information via sensory memory, how to help students practice information in working memory, and help them transfer the skills, the knowledge you teach in the class, for that into long-term memory. Number two, it's about working memory. The main thing that teachers like us need to know is that working memory cannot process a lot of information at once. That means we need to break information into steps so students can access and process them effectively. That said, we as teachers need to pay attention to how we provide information to students. We need to be very careful. We need to look at how we scaffold our instruction, and we need to do the best we can to make sure that students access the information we put out there. Number three is about meaning. Meaning is an important factor in cognitive science, and it should be we should, as teachers, we should look at it the same way in the classroom. We need to teach meaningfully. What does that really mean? That means students tend to remember, tend to learn better when they go through meaningful experiences. And for a teacher, how do we apply this principle in our classroom? The first thing we need to do is to ask ourselves this question: will our learning objective take students through meaningful or relevant experience? That's the first thing we need to look at. Are we teaching things to students that they can take and go out there in the real world and use it? Can they relate to the information that we are sharing with them? That's a basic question we need to look at when we talk about learning. The number four, it's about unrehearsed information. This is again very important, especially when teachers are giving information to students, or when we give instruction to student, we expect the student to go and perform the task. A lot of time, if we don't ask student to clarify or to repeat the instruction back to us, they're gonna ask us to repeat the instruction again because most of the time they're gonna forget. So it's important to use two techniques when you giving instruction. The first one is recasting, asking student to repeat it exactly the way you said it, or the second one, the second technique is to ask student questions, clarifying questions to make sure that they really understand what they're gonna do. Number five, teachers need to take advantage of the first and the last 10 minutes of their classes. This is important because people remember this section of any presentation. When you start as a teacher and when you end, that's the section that your student might remember the most. As a result, it's important that at the beginning we have clear objective and clear direction where the class is headed, and at the end you should do a summary. You should give students a chance to reflect on the learning, and we should also assess the learning of the material presented in the class. Number six is about practice. Practice can trump talent and intelligence. This is important for students who are struggling in your classroom. So they need to know if they practice regularly, if they practice enough, they can succeed. It's not about talent, it's not about gene, it's about practicing. Number seven is about some tools and techniques that teachers can use in the classroom when they're thinking about how to help students process information. Here's a list of six things that you can use. Storytelling. Students like good story. They will always remember a story. To note taking. Note taking helps students, process information. I have another list also to share, which is we would start with outline rubrics. Having clear rubrics gives students a sense of what the expectations are for every single task they need to perform to any meaningful project that the teachers can implement in the classroom. Now, if you have questions, do not hesitate. If you want to dig deeper, if you want to explore the principles of cognitive science in detail, feel free to look at the list that I have right here on the screen. Um, they're all available on the internet. You can access them. And if you have questions for me, feel free to shoot me an email. My website is uh, coachingforbetterlearning.com. If you get to my website, you can easily contact me and send me an email.